Hello, my friend. Welcome to How to Like Your Life, a brain training podcast for mindset transformation. I am so glad that you're here today. I'm Emilie. I'm a brain training specialist and hypnosis practitioner, here to teach you how to harness your own inner power using the magic and science of brain training and self-hypnosis to transform your life and like your life. Let's dive in. Today, we're chatting about goals, and we're not going to be talking about how to reach the goals, how to work towards them. We're starting with how to figure out what it is that you want, how to identify your goals. And if you do already have some clarity on what you want with your life, you can use this process to check in with yourself and reevaluate to see and make sure that those goals are actually aligned with what you want your future to look and feel like. Because in this society, there is so much unnecessary pressure to figure it all out and know exactly what you want. And I really think this starts from early childhood. Even from preschool onward, we have adults asking little kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we've been conditioned to feel like we have to have the answer to that at all times. We've been conditioned to believe that by the time you graduate from high school, that you need to know exactly what you want the rest of your life to look like. There is so much pressure to know exactly what we're doing at all times, and that's just not the reality. And our desires change as we grow and evolve. So even if you graduate from school and you become that profession that you told everyone that you wanted to be when you were in preschool, you may not want to be that forever. And that's okay. Humans are creative and adventurous beings, and we need newness sometimes. So if you're feeling stuck, you feel like you don't really know where you want to go, or you just want to really gain more clarity on what it is you do want, this is the episode for you. I personally am the kind of person that has a million goals swirling around in my mind at all times. And the steps that I'm going to take you through today are also helpful to really channel what it is you actually want. So if you have tons and tons of ideas and you don't know what direction to go in, this will also be really helpful. The key to really getting in touch with a future that is aligned with who you are, what you want, and how you want to live is in the feelings that arise alongside the circumstances you're thinking about. Because when we consider goals, we really want to achieve our goals because they're going to make us feel a certain way, or because we have an expectation that it will give us access to the feelings that we really want in our lives. You know, if we associated the concept of being rich and famous with misery and loneliness and burnout, then we wouldn't necessarily want it, right? But we associate wealth and fame with a sense of ease, with a sense of comfort, maybe influence, maybe ability to access the things that we want more of. And so that's why people want to be rich and famous, because they want the ease that comes along with it, not because of the money and the notability on its own. Because circumstances and events are neutral. Events themselves are neutral. What makes them positive or negative is our experiences of them. Take fame, for example. So some people really want to be famous. They want that recognition. They want communities of people who love them. And the idea of walking on a stage and getting a round of applause from thousands of people is a dream for some people. But for someone who is incredibly shy or easily overwhelmed, or for someone who likes their privacy, that level of fame could be someone's worst nightmare. For a much smaller example, let's say that there's two people who are driving on the same highway in the middle of nowhere, in the countryside somewhere, and all of a sudden these big dark clouds roll in and a massive thunder and lightning storm starts. And it's so intense that these people have to pull over on the side of the road and wait for the rain to stop. One person might be really overwhelmed and angry and frustrated that they're going to be late to wherever it is they're going. The other person in the other car might be the most excited they've ever been because they are a photographer and they love to photograph lightning and beautiful weather patterns or something. These two people are in the same circumstance, but their experience is so vastly different based on what they bring to it. So when we think about goals, The things we really want in our future are circumstances that help us like our lives. Again, this podcast is called How to Like Your Life, not how to work towards the goals that your mother and father have always told you that you should work towards because that is how you quote unquote live a good life, blah, blah, blah. This is about really getting in touch with possibilities for your future that can help you like more of your life, that can give you the experiences within the circumstances that help you access the feelings that you really want. And it's also important to recognize that everybody has a different set of values in terms of what experiences and feelings they want the most of. So some people might really want peace and quiet and stillness and serenity, while other people might want excitement and playfulness and fulfillment and adventure. And it's really up to you to gain clarity on what that looks like. So I'm going to walk you through some processes that can help you identify that, which will ultimately help you get closer to figuring out what circumstances and goals you want to work toward to serve those feelings. But ultimately, the feeling is the most important part. So step one is to really identify what feelings you value. What feelings do you like? What feelings help you like your life the most? For me personally, I really love a balance of ease and stillness, but I also really like a sense of awe and creativity and fulfillment and wonder in the life that I'm living. I also really love a sense of playfulness. Anytime I feel like I can access my childlike joy, I am liking my life the most. So take a moment to reflect and consider what feelings you want the most of. And this doesn't mean that you won't have all of the other feelings that come along with being human, because the human experience is made up of all of the wonderful and challenging emotions that arise every single day. But which ones do you want more of? If you could fill your life with the emotions that you love and the feelings that you love, what are they? Really identifying how you want to feel can be particularly useful if you have no idea what you want for your future, because we're not often asked, how do you want to feel in your life? We're asked, what do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? What job do you want to have? Almost as though the feelings don't really matter that much, but feeling is everything. So once you've identified the positive feelings that you do want, the next step is to figure out what that feeling actually feels like. How does it manifest in your body? What does joy feel like for you? What does fulfillment do for you? How do you feel when you are creative, or when you're at peace, or when you are grateful? If you chose several different feelings that you want, for the sake of this little exercise, pick one. Pick one of the feelings that you want the most in your life and start to explore what that really feels like in the physical body. And you might do this by using your imagination. So if you're driving, please, as always, keep your eyes open, stay alert, be safe. If you're in a place where you feel comfortable closing your eyes, you might choose to do that. Take a long, deep breath in. And as you exhale, just allow your body to settle for a little bit and bring to mind that feeling that you want more of. You might find your mind bringing you back to moments in your life where you had access to that feeling. You might bounce around to different memories where you felt that feeling really intensely. And as it comes to life in your mind and body, start to recognize what it truly feels like. Where is this feeling located in your body when it comes up? What qualities does it have? If you were in a control room and had the ability to turn up the volume on this feeling, really intensifying it, what does that feel like for you? Is it energizing? Is it soothing? Is it relaxing, uplifting? You might feel a warmth in your heart space. Where is that feeling located? And when this feeling comes up for you, how do you know? What about these sensations tell you that this is the feeling you're having? As you focus on this, let's take another long, deep breath. And as you exhale, open those eyes. Good. So now that you have a little bit more clarity on what that feels like for you as an experience, not just a concept, it can be a lot easier to check in and see if your future trajectory is leading you to more of that feeling. So if you already have a goal in mind or a vague idea of what you might want your life to look like, now's the time to check in and see if that possible goal, that circumstance, would actually give you the feelings that you're seeking. You might do this by closing your eyes and imagining the moment of reaching that goal or living that life and comparing it to the sensations in your body when you access the feeling that you desire. And if it's misaligned, if you don't access those feelings, if it doesn't bring up the experiences that you want in those circumstances that you thought you wanted, then it might be time to reevaluate and really consider what other possibilities could give you the experiences that you desire. So, with all of this in mind, with this new desired feeling identified, you can now move into the process of getting clarity on what it is you want in terms of circumstances, in terms of goals, in terms of actions. And because feelings are not circumstances, a great place to start with gaining clarity on where to go next is to identify what present moment actions and things help you to access that feeling in any capacity. What are things that you can do now? Teeny tiny actions or little behaviors or little things to engage with that give you a glimpse of that feeling. So for me, creativity and playfulness are really important to me. And although making my Broadway debut would definitely give me a sense of creativity and playfulness in the future, I do still have access to it now. I feel creative when I learn new artistic skills. I feel creative and playful when I sing for fun. I feel playful when I play with my cats. I feel creative when I am brainstorming ideas for this podcast. Although I'm not in the circumstance that I want for my future, I currently do have access to that feeling through action, through little choices that I can make today that can help open up the pathway and the channel for that feeling. So take a moment to reflect and maybe in a journal write out a big list of the moments in your life, including memories from your past and things that you can do in the present that give you access to that feeling. And write out things that are really, really small, as well as big possibilities. Things that are cheap and affordable and accessible in your daily life, as well as big things that you could do that may take more money and effort and planning. And just get your mind thinking about what can get you access to that feeling. And this process of searching for those examples for yourself is going to start to plant the seeds in your mind that that feeling is important for you. It's going to start creating new connections in your brain between activities and that feeling, making it more and more accessible to you. And as you plant these seeds, over time, you're going to be more likely to have ideas for what it is you actually want in your big dreams, in your big future. And that's how those big goals arise. Because coming up with a goal is a creative process. Creativity is about identifying possibility and then bringing that possibility into the world. And the first step to creativity is looking at things in a way that you haven't before. I'd like to quickly interrupt this episode to share a bit about how you can make it easier to like your life using my hypnosis app, Dawdle. What you might not know is that every single episode of this How to Like Your Life podcast is paired with a recommended guided hypnosis session on the Dawdle app to help you enhance the practices that we're talking about here so you don't have to figure it out all on your own. On the app, you'll also find tons and tons of full-length hypnosis sessions to help you in so many areas of your life, including relaxation, stress relief, focus, motivation, joy, confidence, health and healing, sleep, getting in touch with your goals, and so much more. There's also a whole library of eyes open hypnosis for you to listen to while you're doing things actively, while walking, while showering. There's also a library of mood shifters, which are practices that are under 5 minutes, designed to help you get out of a stress response fast and feel better quickly. So in this podcast, I'll teach you how to like your life, and on Dawdle, it'll become a very easy task. So make sure to try out Dawdle for free for 7 days, and you can find the download links in the show notes. Now let's get back to the episode. Now that you have figured out what feelings are important to you, You've checked in to see if these feelings align with some of the goals that you have set for your future. You've identified what that feeling actually feels like in your body. And you've taken inventory of some of the things that you can do now, some of the things that you currently have access to that can bring you more of that feeling. This is really the time to bring those actions into your life so that the feeling that you want becomes more and more familiar. And familiarity is essential in the process of training the brain because our brains really prefer to do things that feel familiar, that feel like the path of least resistance. And for a lot of us, stress, overwhelm, exhaustion, burnout are the most familiar to us. So we are most likely to continue engaging in things that lead us to those feelings that are not supportive to us. And so if we're sitting with burnout and stress and overwhelm and trying to figure out what it is we want for our futures, it's going to be so much harder to imagine a life of ease and affluence and success or fulfillment, peace, playfulness, whatever that is for you. It's going to be harder to see that as possible because the brain's familiar default is the opposite. So the more that you can begin to access the feelings that you want now, the smoother the path will be to get to that goal. For example, if I am living in a deep sense of creativity and playfulness and adventure and confidence, and my goal is to get cast in a Broadway show and make my Broadway debut, it's going to be so much easier to get there if I'm already aligned with the feelings of my future self. Because if I'm feeling creative and I'm feeling good, I'm going to be way more likely to have successful auditions. I'm going to be more likely to actually show up at auditions because I'm excited to play and express my creativity, as opposed to feeling stressed and insecure and pessimistic, which would hinder my ability to make choices that can lead me to a future that would be supportive for me. So the key is to start giving your brain regular, frequent experiences of the feeling that you're seeking, and you can do this in two ways. You can use real experiences in your daily life, and you can use experiences in your imagination. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you will know that the subconscious mind, the part of our brain responsible for 95% of our daily functioning, doesn't really know the difference between imagination and reality. So when we imagine certain scenarios, it can elicit the same very real feelings and physiological responses that we would have if those experiences were happening in the present moment. So your imagination is going to be your best friend as you start to familiarize yourself with the feelings that you want in your future. And the more you access these feelings, the more seeds you are planting in your mind, signaling to the brain that this feeling is worth having. This feeling is important to you. And it's going to start to prime the brain to be more likely to lead you to opportunities to have more access to that feeling. It's going to prime the brain to start subconsciously figuring out future possibilities that can help you access that, which can help you with goal setting. It can help you with really identifying the future that you want. So each day, as you are planting these seeds and allowing this garden of goals to grow, or whatever analogy you want to use, engage in activities that give you access to that feeling. Take a look at that list that you made, and even if it's the smallest little action, do something each day to help you feel more of that feeling. For me, for example, if I want to feel creative and inspired, I might even just spend a couple of minutes singing in the shower, or I might spend 30 minutes on a little art project, or even just thinking about some kind of creative possibility in my mind as I'm going for a walk. Start making it a habit to do things that lead you to that feeling. And the more you do this, the more likely you are to get ideas for bigger goals that can lead you to that feeling in a much greater capacity. Something else that I would highly recommend doing each day is a self-hypnosis process of imagining scenarios, either very real past memories or possible situations that, again, bring you access to that feeling. It could be visualizing a moment in childhood where you felt joyful and creative and excited. It could be visualizing possible futures that could bring you that feeling. So for me, I might either visualize a time when I was really inspired and excited to perform and tell stories on stage in high school or something, or I might visualize myself making my Broadway debut. I might imagine myself doing something in the future that I haven't done before that could potentially lead me to that feeling. And in imagining this circumstance and really bringing it to life by focusing on the sights, sounds, smells, tastes, sensations, emotions, etc., the brain is going to start to respond as though that's happening now, helping you to carry that feeling into your day. And this imagery practice is not the same as visualizing your goals. It definitely could be if you have some clarity on what you want, but it's not about knowing exactly what you want your future to look like. It's just taking an imagined circumstance that could elicit the feeling that you want today. So regardless of whether or not I actually wanted to make my Broadway debut, if imagining that made me feel inspired, then I could imagine that and help me improve my day-to-day life now. And all of these little seeds that you're planting, these metaphorical seeds in your mind, it's priming your intuition. It's training your subconscious instincts and tendencies, which will make it easier and easier for you to start to identify very real possibilities for your future that are aligned with what it is that you want. So the key is to align the feeling, access the feeling first, and then the ideas for circumstances will come. But the most important thing to keep in mind is, again, it's about the experience, not the circumstance. So the more you find yourself experiencing the feelings that you're seeking in the future, the more you're going to like your life now. The less it's going to matter whether or not you reach those quote unquote big goals. And if you do, that's awesome. And what matters is how you feel right now. I mentioned this in the very first episode of this podcast, but I hear so many people saying, I'll be happy when I finally reach my big goals. I'll be happy when I make $1 million. I'll be happy when I have a partner, when I have kids, when I have my dream job. And that is just withholding and preventing ourselves from feeling that joy or those feelings that we want in the present moment. It's telling our brains that we don't have access to those feelings, and we do, because it's not circumstance that brings the feeling. So while this episode is really about figuring out your goals, it's also about the fact that if you don't know what you want in the future, that is okay. There's not a single person on this planet that has everything figured out, that knows exactly what they want 100% of the time. The folks who enjoy their lives the most and who get a lot of inspiration are the ones who tend to feel a deep sense of gratitude and fulfillment in this present moment, because the past has already happened and the future hasn't happened yet. The future will always be in the future. So whenever you feel stuck or frustrated by not knowing what you want, bring it back to the question of, how do I want to feel? And that answer might change from day to day. So you might even wake up in the morning and ask yourself, how do I want to feel today? And then identify that feeling, and then choose activities and behaviors in the day that can help serve that feeling for you. And if you're having a hard time coming up with things that you can do in this moment, imagine something. Take some time to visualize a moment in your past when you had access to that feeling, or visualize a possible future scenario that would help you feel that way, and it will bring that feeling up for you in this present moment for real. And it will help you carry it through your day and like more of this moment and like more of your life. And what I have found with myself and with people I've worked with is that the more aligned we are with the feelings that matter to us, the more we're just naturally going to move toward the future that is right for us. It's going to start to unfold in front of you as you become more and more aligned, as you fuel your joy and your fulfillment and your inspiration and creativity and peace. The more you decide that you are worthy of feeling those good things now, the more and more it's going to come into your life. So when in doubt, Just find the feeling. And that is enough. That is 100% enough. You do not have to know everything. You do not have to plan everything. And I'm speaking as someone who is an intense planner. This really works and it helps. If you want additional support, if you want guided versions of these practices to really help you bring imagined scenarios to life, I have a hypnosis app called Dawdle with over 100 guided sessions for so many different areas of your life. And what's particularly special about Dawdle is that it's paired with this podcast. So for every episode in How to Like Your Life, there is a section in the Dawdle app where you will find an outline of all of the practices and steps that I talk about, in addition to specific guided hypnosis recordings that pair with the topic of the episode. So for this episode, you'll find recordings that can help you really tap into the feelings that you desire, really get clear on your goals, and start to feel better today as you work towards your future. Dawdle is free to try for 7 days. So check that out in the show notes, give it a try, and plant those seeds in your mind, and you're going to start to feel a very powerful shift in your daily life. You're going to start to like more of the moments that you're living. If you want a much deeper dive into brain training tools to reduce your stress, build your confidence, work toward your goals, and really become the most empowered version of you, I also have a 6-week masterclass called Hypnotic Empowerment. It is a live online course with live group calls, video lessons, guided hypnosis recordings, worksheets, and I will personally take you through a protocol of exercises and brain training practices to really retrain the way that your brain operates so it's more aligned with how you want to feel. I will also link all of that information in the show notes. You can check out info about the next cohort, and these tools are really here to support you in amplifying what it is we're talking about in this podcast, because it is so possible to like your life. It's so possible to access those feelings that you want. Your imagination and your brain are so unbelievably powerful. And I cannot wait to hear about the shifts that you experience as you implement these tools. Now, if you learned something from this episode, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. Please subscribe so that you don't miss future episodes. And share this episode with a friend. Share it on your Instagram story. Tag me. I love seeing those posts and hearing what you thought, and hearing about all of the wonderful ways that you're implementing these practices, because that's really what this podcast is about. It's about giving you practical tools to like your life each and every day. It's so possible to like your life. It's so possible to like yourself and believe in yourself. And it's possible to change your brain. You've been listening to the How to Like Your Life podcast. This is Emilie Lies, and it's been so wonderful chatting with you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, friend.